What's up, dude? I can do a show just for you guys, just because a couple people have been asking, like, where you been at, DJ? And I was like, I don't know. Chilling, I guess. Anyways, I'm back for another edition of DJ Does Sports. I almost forgot what my own show is. DJ Does Sports, Rivalry Week Edition. This is the time of year when everybody starts getting hot under the collar. Notre Dame is starting to get hot under the collar. Michigan is getting hot under the collar. Ohio State is starting to get hot under the collar. USC's been hot under the collar because they've been exposed. So definitely, this is when the season begins. If you're a fan for anybody else other than the Buckeyes, because unfortunately for us, this is where our season ends. But we got one more game. We're gonna go out like some G's. We're gonna go out like some champs. And unfortunately, for Michigan, you guys are gonna be victims. So without further ado, let's get into the show. I have a good show planned for you guys today. We're gonna do a recap of last week. We're gonna talk Heisman. We're gonna do a fantasy draft. We're gonna talk about the most overrated programs in college football this year. We're going to do some predictions for this coming up week, and we're going to pass out some awards. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Number one, man, did you see Baylor kill Kansas State? Just when you thought Kansas State was going to ease on down the road to a national championship, they got smoked 52-24. You know what I thought would happen? I thought RG3 came back, put on Nick Florence's jersey, and went to town. I think that's what actually happened. I mean, those guys, start to finish, Nick Florence outplayed Colin Klein. It's crazy. Maybe Nick Florence should get the Heisman. I don't know. It was Nick Florence went 20 for 32, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. Colin Klein was 27 for 50, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I cannot call you Colin Optimus Klein anymore. I'm sorry. Just call you Colin Klein. No disrespect. Sorry. You got outplayed, son. Now, not to be outdone, when the number 1 BCS team goes down, the number 2 BCS team has to go down too, I guess. Oregon got stunned at home by the Cardinal, 17-14. Kevin Hogan for the Cardinal went 25 for 36 for 211 yards, 1 touchdown. Stephon Taylor, you might remember him. He was a guy that got in the end zone at the end of the game versus Notre Dame, but they didn't call it that way because Notre Dame was at home. I'm sorry. That's just my personal. Let me get back to this. I'm sorry. I digress. Stephon Taylor, 33 carries, 161 yards. Kenyon Barner, 21 carries, 66 yards. Kenyon Barner got outplayed too. I don't know what this is. The Heisman candidates are getting outplayed by their counterparts. Now, since the number one team went down, the number 2 team went down, the number 3 team had to show me something, and Notre Dame just blew the doors off Wake Forest 38-0. This young man, Everett Golson, has just grown up before our eyes. It's crazy. He went 20 for 30, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Sierra Wood, 11 carries, 150 yards, 1 touchdown. It's crazy. Notre Dame is the number 1 team in the nation. I never thought I'd say that again in my lifetime. It's a sad day for all of us, I know, because you have Notre Dame fans that think they are the number 1 team in the nation. I mean, and I guess technically they are, but nah, not in my book. I mean, you're top 5, I guess. Sorry. UCLA knocked out USC and Matt Barkley in the Battle of LA, 38-28. Ohio State got taken to overtime in Camp Randall by Wisconsin. Can't beat a Buckeye. 11-0, stay perfect. The only 2 teams in college football is perfect right now are Notre Dame and Ohio State. Unfortunately, they will not be playing for national championship. It hurts me to say it, but they're perfect. Anyways, Ohio State got by Wisconsin 21-14. OU tied West Virginia by a point, 50-49, in a great shootout. Landry Jones, I'm gonna get to him later, had a great game. And of course, in the SEC, Bama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, they all win. So, because I want to move the show on, usually I do a bigger recaps part, but we're going to move on because I have some other good stuff I want to talk to you guys about. So we're going to do a Heisman. my top 5 Heisman. Um, and overall, it's a weak year for the Heisman. It's a weak group when you have a freshman at the top of the Heisman. I don't know if that's a good thing or it's a bad thing. Now Johnny Manziel, he's really good, but he's still a freshman. Overall, weak group. Very weak group. Now, like I just said, I have Johnny Manziel number 1. I have Manti Te'o number 2. I have Colin Klein number 3. He was number 1 until he got spanked by the hands of the Baylor Bears and RG3. I mean Nick Florence. I have Braxton Miller number 4, and Marquise Lee is number 5. That guy's a stud. If I had the number 1 pick in the NBA in the NFL, excuse me, I don't know how to talk apparently. I'm just stuttering Stanley over here. Anyways, if I had the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, I'd probably take Marquise Lee. I think he's just that good. I think he's a game changer. There's not too many receivers in the league who can change games. I mean, what do you have? Andre Johnson, and you have Megatron, and I mean, you had Larry Fitzgerald when he had a quarterback. But definitely, I'd definitely take Marquise Lee if I had somebody who could throw him the ball. If not, I guess I'd take a quarterback. But, Marquise Lee, you're number 1 in my book, kid. Now, moving on. I heard the say on the radio where they wanted to pick the best players at each position. While I don't have that kind of time, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea if I did some kind of fantasy draft where I'd take who I would want if I was starting a team. Who would I want to quarterback my team? Who would I want my wide receiver to be? Who would I want my running back to be? And one defensive player I could pick. And these are many teams. Now, of course, if you keep up with my videos and you know what I say, write me back. This is one thing I want you guys to write me back on. I want you guys to fill out your draft and write me who you would pick. So, for quarterback, I couldn't pick one. I have 2 guys. And in my system that I run, I want a quarterback who can throw, and I want a quarterback who can run. I want a fast quarterback, a quarterback who can read defensive, a quarterback who's just elusive and who's just that much better than the defense. So I picked Johnny Manziel / Braxton Miller. I feel like both these guys. Now Johnny Manziel is actually a little bit better thrower, but I do believe that Braxton Miller is a better runner. That's why I'm so I can't pick just one. But both these guys would do wonders in my kind of offense. Maybe one day I'll coach and I'll recruit one of those kind of players. The guy has to have dreams, right? For my wide receiver, Marquise Lee. I just said I'd pick him with the number 1 draft. If I was an NFL team, I'm going to pick him with my number 1 draft in my fantasy league. Or I guess for my fantasy team, excuse me. I think he is a great route runner. He is super fast. Great hands, big time receiver. He's just the antithesis of what you want a wide receiver to be. Also, if you watch DjDuzSportz, you learn big words. I don't know of any other YouTube sports channel where, they're throwing out big words like that. I mean, seriously, you guys are getting smarter as this show goes on. You're welcome. This is the least I could do if you watch my show. The least I could do is educate you. You watch my show. You give me views. You make me more popular. It's the least I can do. Don't thank me. For running back, I'd pick Monty / Ball from Wisconsin. He's not as fast as a Kenyon Barner, but he's strong. He's powerful. He has excellent vision, great cutback skills, smart runner, great football player. That's who you want. You want a guy who can go the distance, and he can. Like I said, he's not as fast as Kenyon Barner, but what he lacks in the speed, he makes up in other intangibles: vision, power, heart. The kid and he just has a knack for scoring touchdowns. The kid has a nose for the end zone. I actually like to watch the guy. I'm not actually a fan of Wisconsin, but I am a fan of Monte Ball. And he's going to make some NFL team better when it's his time to go pro. Now, for my defensive player, I want somebody who is vocal. I want somebody who's not afraid to make a tackle, but also good enough to drop back in coverage when he has to. I want somebody who can be the heart and soul of 10 other guys. Somebody that knows everybody's positions and where they're supposed to be. I decided to pick Manti Te'o from Notre Dame. The guy is just He's good, and however I feel about Notre Dame, I cannot knock that Manti Te'o is one heck of a defender. I mean, he can do anything. He can make any play. He can blitz. He can drop back into coverage. I mean, the guy's a stud. I mean, and he too, just like all these other guys, Johnny Manziel, Braxton Miller, Marquise Lee, Monte Ball, he's gonna make an NFL team better too. Um, Not many linebackers come along like Manti Te'o. And if you have one as special as him, cherish him. So Notre Dame fans, cherish Manti Te'o while he's still there because he is one of a kind. So, speaking of one of a kind, let's move on to the next topic I wanted to talk about, which is the most overrated college programs this year. And I have 5. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to start at number 5 and I'm going to go to number 1. All right, are you guys ready? This is probably my favorite segment of the show, of this particular show. Number 5, I have a team up north, which is Michigan. If you're not familiar with that lingo, that's Ohio lingo. Sorry, Michigan. I think you guys are overrated. Number 4, Bama. I think you guys are overrated. Number 3, Notre Dame. I think you guys are overrated. Number 2, Florida State. I have to hear about every year you guys have like the number 1 recruiting class in the nation, and then you guys you go out there and perform like some kind of mediocre team. Florida State, I think you guys are overrated. And number 1, I mean, I don't even think I have to say, I think everybody has this team being overrated. You don't start number 1 in the preseason polls, and then at the end of the season end up unranked without being called overrated. So Lane Kiffin by himself is overrated. I don't actually know how he keeps getting jobs, but more power to him. Maybe Colin Cowherd is doing something for him. I don't know. Maybe they know some people. Anyways, Lane Kiffin and the USC Trojans and Matt Barkley, except for everybody except for Marquise Lee. You guys are in Robert Woods. Maybe he's pretty good. But you guys are all overrated. But I want you guys to beat Notre Dame. And we'll see. Maybe I guess no. Maybe in predictions I have you guys beat Notre Dame. I don't know. Let's see. Let's stay tuned. Wait to that. Speaking of predictions, it's prediction time. We have some really good games this week, and I'm going to be in front of the TV from 12 until like 12. So from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., I'm going to be watching nothing but college football. I'm not even watching my kids. I don't know what they're going to do. I might not feed them. I might not change them. They're just going to be walking around crying, crawling around on the floor, asking for bottles. And I'm like, I'm sorry, kids. It's a really good week of college football. So, let's get to predictions. I have Florida at Florida State. I have Florida State winning that game. I know I just said they're overrated, but I think Florida's overrated too. Maybe I should have put them in the top 5. Anyways, I have Florida State beating Florida 34-21. Oregon at Oregon State. I have Oregon. They're mad. They're mad about last week. And plus, they still know they have an outside chance to get to the national championship game, so they don't want to blow it again. Anyways, I have Oregon beating Oregon State in a close game, 40-37. Stanford at UCLA. Both teams are coming off really good wins. Stanford against Oregon and UCLA against USC. But I have Stanford beating UCLA in LA 28-23. South Carolina at Clemson. I don't really think South Carolina's that great this year. I think they've done enough just to get by. But I have Clemson winning 30-17. I have Oklahoma beating Oklahoma State 27-24. I have Ohio State beating Michigan 37-28. I have Kent State beating the place where I went to school, the real Ohio, Michigan fans, the Ohio University 24-20. And I have an upset special, USC beating Notre Dame in LA 45-31. Now, since I'm up against time, let's hand out some awards. My best individual performance of last week goes to Montel Harris of Temple, 36 carries, 351 yards, 7 total touchdowns against Army or Navy, one of them. For my best team, I have Baylor Bears, as they just laid the wood on Kansas State. My worst team, Wake Forest, going and getting destroyed by Notre Dame, 38-0. For my worst individual, I have Iowa's head coach, Kirk Ferentz, because he is super overrated. Anyways, that's my time. Follow me on Twitter at DjDuzIt. Subscribe. For every viewer, you need to go out and get 1,000 more viewers and so we can be successful. I'm just joking. Just keep watching, and I'll see you guys next week.